Now, I come back to Parliament, and
But let's do the private members bill.
yes,
right?
the private members bill. And Annie, as a student of Parliament who cherishes parliamentary research, I have been looking at the parliamentary history, instances where we have had an activation of Article 97, where MPs have either cross-carpeted or have resigned. And I have some Hansards here, and pardon me, some of these Hansards look
Older than you.
quite antique. So this is the Hansard of Wednesday, 26 March 2003. And this Hansard from column 2979,
The date again?
26 March 2003.
Oh, okay.
26 March
Oh, they are not that
2003.
old.
Column 2979. You have the first deputy speaker speaking. It says, honorable members, that will bring us to the end of statement time. Before we go on, honorable members, there is a communication from a member of parliament to the speaker, and I am bound, therefore, to let you know. The letter is from the Honorable Abraham Kofi Asante. And the letter, dated 26 March 2003, that same day, has the heading, Dear Mr. Speaker, resignation from office as Member of Parliament for Amenfi West constituency. It's a simple letter which says, I write to indicate my resignation as Member of Parliament for Amenfi West constituency. I've taken this decision for personal reasons. I thank you and the entire leadership, members, staff, and the press for the very cordial working relationship during the period we worked together. Signed, yours faithfully, Abraham Kofi Asante. You know what is interesting about this? You read this Hansard, the speaker declares the seat vacant, and that same day, they move on to transact important business in the national interest. There was no pandemonium. Parliament didn't come to a halt. There was no name calling, no fisticuffs. Nobody went to the Supreme Court. You have here, if you come to column 2980, the first deputy speaker says, immediately after he read the resignation, he said, we now go on to question time. The Honorable Minister for Energy is here with us to answer a few questions. The first question stands in the name of the Honorable Member for Afram Plain South, Mr. Kwachi Ado. So, Honorable Albert Kandapa, take your seat. And immediately, they go into addressing important national issues. This is in 2003. I have another Hansard here. 2nd March 2006. The Speaker allowed Professor A. Wayoseni, then the NDC MP for Tamale Central, to make a statement. When you read from column 1208 all the way to column 1211 of the Hansard of 2nd March 2006, Professor Wayoseni makes his statement, and this is how he concludes. Mr. Speaker, I will now perform the simple task of crossing the carpet to my mother party. Remember, he had come from the NPP, defected to NDC, and so he said he was going back. I will now perform the simple task of crossing the carpet to my mother party. Thank you for the attention. Yeah. That same day, if you read the Hansard, sitting was not suspended, there was no adjournment, nobody went to the Supreme Court, Speaker declares the seat vacant. as required under Article 97. And that same day, if you read the Hansard, from column 1215, Parliament approved a $50 million loan between the government of Ghana and SNIT. Then you had a $25 million loan approved that same day. Then you had motions on the District Assembly Common Fund for 2006, which was approved. They continue with business. Why have I taken the time to go through all of this? Cross-carpeting, resignation, MPs shifting positions under Article 97 of the Constitution is not new. Anytime it has happened, speakers have ruled, the seat is declared vacant. Parliament goes on with the serious business of
Yeah, but is it the same
building
as
the nation.
what's happened today? Or what's happening today? Is it the same?
I submit strongly, Annie, that what is happening today, if Speaker Bagben's ruling did not have an effect on who will become majority or minority, this would not have happened. The hypocrisy and the double standards of our politics. What is happening today is simply because after the declaration of these vacancies, 3-1, NPP, NDC respectively, which changes the balance. Take it from me. If it was the other way around, 3 on the side of the NDC, 1 on the side of the NPP, Speaker Bagben will be hailed to the high heavens. If it had nothing to do with Afenyo Makin's position as majority leader, if it did not affect the NPP. And you see, all of this fight over majority, it's about what you do with it. How was that majority? NPP has been claiming to be majority for the past 8 years. What has been the impact? Hardship, anguish, pain, corruption, state capture, plutocracy. That's what they've been doing with the majority. So really, it's about the impact. How that majority reflects in the welfare of the people, builds our country, makes us progress to the next level. That is what matters. So I submit strongly that looking at our history, anytime there's been carpet crossing, people have moved, whether from one party to the other, or independent or whatever, and the seats have been declared vacant. Same day, there's no uproar, there's no upheaval. We continue with business. And you see the irony of this whole situation. You remember the big fight of January 6th, the midnight, and all the drama and the maneuvering, which led to the election of Speaker Bagben. The next fight that was to ensue was who really will sit on the right-hand side of the Speaker, who will be declared majority. It was 137, as you know, after the 2020 EC declaration, with one independent. It is this same Speaker Bagben who ruled and said, NPP, you are majority. I have received a letter from the independent MP who says he wants to caucus with you, he wants to work with you, and ruled. There were many people even on our side. And you know, statesmen like Comrade Kwesi Pratt up to today insists he doesn't agree with it, that there was no majority in this parliament. But we've all lived with it. They hailed Speaker Bagben. They hailed him because it favored them then. So what has changed? So you go through all the history, all these Hansards. Same. Last week I read a Professor Okwe is here. Same, 7th November 2020. Same principle, speakers. From Alajete, DF Anand, Regina Sechi Hughes, Professor Michael Okwe, to Speaker Bagben. Same principle. What has changed? Why is it that now we are having all of this unprincipled gymnastics, wasting everybody's time? When, as we speak, the LI we have been compelled to present, this private members bill, our forests are under attack. And let me come to that. everybody in civil society, every Ghanaian is worried. The youth just held series of demonstrations about the state of our environment, the mass murder which is going on. To avert a nationwide strike, an industrial shutdown, the president assured organized labor that they would take steps to repeal LI 2462, which you do recall was one of the key demands of organized labor. We had thought that the first day we go to parliament, the executive, the government, will bring action showing that they are going to repeal LI 2462, particularly that offending part which relates to mining in forests.
But it was not part of the list we have seen.
Yes, so far.
Part of the urgent.
No sense of urgency. Look at in the past, when people have resigned, seats have been declared vacant, they move immediately to serious business. I am so appalled, I am so disappointed that just because of majority, you can be in minority and still do government business. Really, it's about the impact you make. It's not about your title or your positions or which side of the speaker you are sitting on. It's become a circus. Okay. So the three of us have initiated this action, seeing that there's really all what the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government is interested in is on which side of parliament they sit, not the business that we conduct in parliament. They just want to be majority. That's all they're interested in. So we have taken the initiative and we have submitted this memo, and that is under our standing orders, the new standing orders. What you do to initiate a private member's bill, you send a memo to the clerk of parliament. So let me clarify, we are not calling for a recall.
Okay.
What we have done is to initiate
let
steps.
Me ask you.
So we've submitted this to the clerk of parliament.
Question. Is it wrong
to
join the side of the house that's trying to trigger the recall and add this demand to the list of the urgent issues they want to address? Is it wrong?
Look, what we should be doing now, if we had maturity, we had love for country, we have statesmanship at play, the Takashi politics going on will be totally taken out of the way. That's all what is happening. Crybabies running to their mothers at the Supreme Court, who then put together a partisan panel which features Gaiwu, an NPP parliamentary candidate in the 2016 elections, to come and sit and rule for his NPP cronies from the Supreme Court, bastardize that institution. Then they activate this so-called recall. And I've been asking myself, what really do they think they will achieve with this? This recall. So you need 1/3 to activate the recall. You have that. But when the Speaker calls the House, under Article 104 of this Constitution, if the Speaker takes the role, and the Speaker is certainly going to insist that based on clear provisions under Article 97, clear parliamentary precedents, as I've been reading this morning, the 4 seats are vacant. You know what that means? Under Article 104(1), the NPP side will not have the numbers to take any decision. So the House will be adjourned again sine die. So what are they going to achieve?
What happens to the state?
Because when you do the recall...
What happens to the the Supreme Court?
Look at Article 104. Article 104(1) says that, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. The NPP minority side don't have that.
Except otherwise provided. What does it mean?
They don't have that. That's so you continue to where the speaker doesn't have original casting vote, and then 3, where the votes on any motion are equal, it shall be taken to be lost. So there are sub-clauses, which, so if in Parliament, if then is equal, that the matter is lost. So there are all kinds of provisos. So what are they going to achieve? So this recall, if we don't come, if we boycott, the NDC side boycotts, you won't have the numbers under Article 104 to take a decision.
Why will you boycott?
Why
will you also boycott?
Why shouldn't we?
Because
that is why
you claim you have the majority. You should be comfortable to be in the House.
The Speaker has adjourned the House sine die. The way forward in this matter is for all of these shenanigans, the bastardization of our institutions, how they have subjected the Supreme Court to such utter ridicule. And I listened to the venerable, distinguished Justice Atuguba yesterday say that the Supreme Court should not be invited in this matter at all. And I agree with him. Look at the precedents I've been reading from 2003, 2006 to the Professor Okoye 2021. Who went to the Supreme Court? Who invited the Supreme Court? This has happened simply because of unprincipled politics, the politics of hypocrisy and double standards. Because now it has a bearing on who is majority, who is minority. So let's destroy our institutions. Let's run to partisan judges, former parliamentary candidates, to come to our rescue. And in the process, we are not thinking about this country, the precedents we are setting, and the future for our democratic stability. So look, the only way forward, and I have said that time without number. Do you know that right from December 7, 2020, what President Akufo-Addo should have done after the EC's declaration? You reach out to John Mahama, the opposition leader. Look, we have to appoint speakers for our sides to vote. Who is your candidate? This is my candidate. Let's horse trade. Nicely, maturity. We will have avoided all of that drama. And you know, we came very close to a military takeover. There was no president, no vice president, no speaker of parliament. Soldiers invaded the chamber. You see the implications of political immaturity? I mean, just childishness. We were on the brink. If any of those soldiers had just taken the speaker's chair that night and announced that, look, you politicians, you can't build consensus, you can't work together, we are taking over. It would have been the easiest coup ever. And we will have invited that coup, the political class. So why is it that up to now, coup heads cannot prevail? We cannot just have leadership sit and iron out these things. Do you think that this is the way forward? This is the solution? You think that the speaker is going to allow his authority as the leader of the legislative arm to be undermined? Who is going to align with those partisan decisions by parliamentary candidates sitting on the Supreme Court, Gaiwu and his gang? Who is going to respect that? So where are we going?
Not a gang. They are Supreme Court.
Where are we going?
They are Supreme Court judges.
Where are we going? I mean, do you see any clear path forward? How does this help the country? So I am totally disgusted. I'm appalled at the lack of leadership, the extent to which reckless political elements will go, with extreme partisanship to destroy our democracy.